Hi, everybody. This is day 1371 and uh, day, I would say, day one of accountability. And I just, let me make sure that we're on, make sure everything is working. Take this off. Okay, here we go. Looks like everything's working. Okay, thank you, everybody. Team Find Richard Halliday, we want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts for all the condolences, all the prayers. And it's going to get me emotional. I'm not allowed to be emotional yet, y'all. I'm not allowed, even though when when I saw the blue uniforms, the beautiful blue uniforms at the door, it was very, very emotional because I knew that they were using our beautiful blue uniforms, the dress blues, badly, absolutely badly, disrespectfully. They dishonored the uniform, and you know, they just show up at your door when your volunteer son or daughter has been killed suddenly, and they're trying to beat the media. That's why you see that a lot in the movies, and you hear that a lot with veterans. They don't want the family to hear from media that their loved one has died, has been killed, and so they'll rush over. This was not the case for our son. We have known from day one, but we uh, absolutely was being cooperative and decided to listen to what everybody had to say, look at all the evidence, where was the evidence pointing. And but from day one, I remember calling Robert, our son, our eldest son, and saying, Richard's missing, and he's in a ditch dead somewhere. Okay. That was our um, intuition because of our history with our son. Um, and it wasn't, you know, we knew it was murder. So I wanted to talk about that today, but um, there's a couple things that I want to talk about. One is thank you so much for sticking with us for so long through this. And thank you for your phone calls. Thank you for reaching out. Thank you for your prayers. Thank you for your condolences. It means never be in this position with the notification of death if it wasn't for you sticking with us, sharing, and day in and day out for almost 4 years now, commenting, liking, enduring all of the bullying, because behind the scenes, Team Find Richard Halliday has had to endure retaliation, threats, bullying, um, just misinformation. People have reached out with misinformation. Remember that Richard's identity was stolen. They used that. They used that to sabotage, to be an imposter. They did the same with us. They tampered our documents. They tampered file. And so I want to say thank you so much for enduring all of the law enforcement false narratives that were even given to the law enforcement community. We understand that the narrative that was being formulated, um, conspired, right? Conspired, collaborated, or whatever term you want to use. The plan that they were devising, right? That was meant for the law enforcement community. It was meant to either misdirect them, to threaten them, to make them afraid, and they were shaking. And I have numerous live streams that absolutely I'm saying they are shaking, they are afraid. And some of them were even bribed. Okay. So we appreciate people coming forward. We understand that this law enforcement community was under immense pressure and control by a few, just by a few. And of course, that includes the military, right? We know that too. Um, and so, the question is, we are saying that our son was murdered. Okay. We know that he was murdered. Okay. And we are saying that the key suspects, and there's many that were involved in this, but the key suspects were Leilani Hart, Tavita Nusa, and Dallas Hart. Okay, and we have been very transparent for a long time about Tavita Nusa, Leilani Hart, and Dallas Hart being suspects in the murder of our son. That is nothing new for today. And we have been working very hard behind the scenes, collecting evidence and putting that evidence together, documenting it. So, identifying the crimes, documenting the crimes, and then filing those crimes with the agencies. Now, the DA's office is supposed to be identifying the crimes, documenting the crimes, and prosecuting the crimes. But we know now that Bill Hicks is a usurper of the 34th Judicial District Attorney's Office, that he is not legally he has not legally taken the oath of office, which means he is not legally the district attorney. And that explains why so many cases are just stalled since he has usurped that office. So, but we have taken the time because we were told to be the investigators, but we've taken the time to identify the crimes and all of the information that was shared with us through open records, through intelligence, through all kinds of means, because of us having connections in El Paso area. I was born in New Mexico. I was born at White Sands Missile Range. Yes, you could say, well, no one's born at White Sands Missile Range. Well, here I am. I was born in Donna Ana County, White Sands Missile Range, one of the very few babies born at White Sands. And, so I went to school in El Paso. I understand El Paso. I went to school in Temple. I understand Waco. I understand the Branch Davidians case because I was living in Temple at the time when all that happened. I'm my alma mater's from Texas. I understand. And we have connections. We have very good friends. We have people that understand that state very well. We have, so we have military experience. Rob is a 30-year veteran, and he is, an odd type of veteran because he entered in the military after he had received his degree from Florida State University as an E3. Why did he do that? Because he wanted to go to PA school. And at that time, we're not the youngest people. And at that time, the PA school was a very new school, something very new in the medical field. And he was so excited about it. He wanted to be a PA. So he entered in as an E3, getting ready to apply for PA school, and the PA school closed after he got into the Army. Things like that happen. So he went to nursing school. When he was finished with nursing school, PA school opened up. He applied. He became a PA. So he went from E3, E4, E5, E6. Then he went into PA school and became a warrant officer. He went through the ranks of warrant officer. And then during the Gulf War, um, the Congress passed that all PAs in the Army that had a 4-year degree and met certain criteria would become an officer, would get a commission. And so overnight, he, um, he was commissioned and he rose through the ranks and this is all happening over 30 years. And he retired as a lieutenant colonel. So he has seen these ranks. He has the experience. That's the whole point of it. He's been deployed many times. Of course, training medics was his favorite job in the military. Training medics, working with the medics going to war with the medics. Um, Deployed many, many times. Of course, served a year in Korea, and we met there uh, on Fort Hood. I was teaching school in Killeen, and he was stationed there at Fort Hood, and that's how we met. Um, so we were married there on Fort Hood. Now it's Fort Cavazos. Um, our first child was born in Killeen. So we have this history with Texas. And so, but we also, through God's grace, um, have history with Europe. That's where we adopted our sons. And, so we have different perspectives. And we were also sheltered by, or given an opportunity, I wouldn't say sheltered, but given an opportunity to see different cultures, participate with different cultures. And that was a huge um, benefit in this case, okay, in our life and in Richard's case. And so going to the murder, accusation. No, it's not really an. I guess it is an accusation, but we had four or five choices or possibilities for what happened to Richard. All evidence leads to that Richard murdered, and so having this designation as deceased is step one. Step one for getting accountability, holding those accountable for his murder. Um, and that's very, very important for us because they know where he is. They know where his remains are. And we want his remains. Okay? So let's look at why the suspects are Tavita Nusa, Leilani Hart, and Dallas Hart. Because the evidence is so overwhelming. There, you in a court of law, you have to not convince it as fact. You have to convince it beyond a reasonable doubt. And so, you can't use a false reality. You have to look at the evidence. And Leilani Hart sought out Team Find Richard Halliday. Okay? She came to us. We did not know about her. So early this morning, 3 o'clock, I think, 2:40 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Well, I don't know where she is, so whatever. She posted on Team Find Richard Halliday's, like, oh, our family's being brought into this. No, she sought out this case. She sought out Team Find Richard Halliday. And let me tell you how that happened. Because behind the scenes, she posted a picture this morning of behind the scenes of her man in the inside, hidden in that picture. She posted a picture of the Combined Veterans Associations. We didn't know what it was. We knew some of the people in there, but we didn't know what it really was. And we are very grateful that somebody reached out from Combined Veterans Association to inform us what's going on. And we have been in contact with the Combined Veterans Association, reaching out to many veterans groups about our son's case, asking for support and help for our son's case. And with that hard work over these years, we have received people that have reached out. And now we want to explain to you how Leilani Hart is, number one, for us to work with her right now. The time is over with. It's past time. And it's not us. It's because we have collected so much evidence and have identified the crimes and documented the evidence, and we have filed that evidence, and now there are ongoing investigations that now limit us from responding to her. Okay? It's time. And so saying, wait a minute, I thought she reached out to you. No, okay, she did, but not in a good way. She sought us out not in a good way. And her seeking us out to sabotage, to interfere, to justice. That all was evidence. And that evidence was piling up. And I'm like, okay, Leilani Hart. And we were getting information about Dallas Hart, and we were getting information about Tavita News. And, that was provided by James Courtney Hart, her husband. So not only did we have a whistleblower, combined Veterans Association, individuals that reached out, uh, you know, this is all this combined information that became evidence. And so, how did she reach out? She reached out to sabotage. Why would she sabotage? Um, Number one, we have confirmation that she was very interested in Richard's disappearance very early on. So much so that she wrote numerous papers on Richard's case and presented them. It was Leilani Hart that claimed that a code red had been called on Richard Halliday. And if you don't know what a code red is, it's an inside order, like a hidden order to murder um, a soldier, to kill a soldier, like an order from inside, like a leadership position. Who was that? We're like, oh, please don't tell us that is Major General Clem Coward, because he had it in for Richard and for no reason, because of the evidence. And please don't tell us that it was Lieutenant Colonel Roddick, right? Michael Roddick. He had it in for Richard and for no reason. No reason. We were like, what's the reason? Come on, give us some reason, because for them to retaliate against Richard so harshly like they did, there's either two reasons: that Richard had done something to deserve it, or that Richard was a whistleblower and they were retaliating against him to protect themselves. And the latter is where the evidence goes. Because Richard has no record. No record at all. He was a yellow Interpol. We're like, he's a yellow Interpol. He has no FBI record. No, he's not even on the database. Right? And so, if he was like this deserter that they said he was, he would be on the database. That's a crime. But he's not on there because he was deceased. He was deceased, and yesterday they confirmed that. So Leilani Hart was very interested in this case. She was writing papers, and she was targeting Richard's case. And so, because of Judge Roger Rodriguez's whistleblowing criminal complaint about her, that was submitted to many individuals and agencies, I don't know, she waited a little bit. She waited. Maybe she was wondering how far that would go, or maybe they were plotting and planning, because she didn't carry this out on her own. Okay? She didn't carry this out on her own. And what do I mean by that? She had to have somebody help her with Bob Moore of El Paso Matters. She had to have someone behind her for Angela Kachurga to move so swiftly, and uh, defend her, because absolutely Angela Kachurga defended Leilani Hart to us. She defended somebody that was obstructing justice in our son's case to us. And I'm like, don't tell me that Leilani Hart, the convicted criminal from Dreams Cabaret that shows up at combined Veterans Association groups with her boyfriend, the inside man CID. This is my man in the inside. This is my man CID Tavita Nusa. And I can manipulate files. I can attack my husband by putting in a notarized complaint and have it referred to the FBI because I have a man in the inside. Right? And this man is a big man. This man is absolutely, Richard would not have a chance against him. And as you know, and many of you know that Richard was a fighter. But Tavita Nusa is a big guy. And at that combined Veterans Association, we are told she had lots of boyfriends. She had lots of boyfriends because we have confirmation with 3 that were there for sure. And this is not from last night or yesterday. This is from the last 2 years of people coming forward and giving us information. And wherever Leilani Hart goes and then, entices these men, death and destruction follow. And that is not because one of those people in the picture that she posted last night that I hid, right? I blocked her right away because that's so disrespectful. He's no longer here. He died. And she had another incident in Hawaii, and he died. And Tavita Nusa lost his badge. So wherever she goes, no good happens. Death, destruction, whatever you want to call it. The death and destruction cloud surrounding Leilani Hart. So what am I saying here? To suggest that these are suspects for murder is not off the wall. It is not off the wall. It is clearly where evidence and behavior, the behavior leads. And she has had very bad behavior. She could have come on. I invited her on many times. I reached out to a friend to let her know that we would love to talk to her. We talked to Dallas Hart. We talked to James Courtney Hart. But Leilani Hart would never talk with us. And it's too late now because we can't anymore. The time is over. It's too late. And remember, I've been saying, please come forward before it's too late. Come before it's too late. And she can come clean. She can tell us who, and we think we know who it is, that drove the narrative and the retaliation and targeting of our son's case, because she sought out the media. She went to Bob Moore, El Paso El Paso Matters. And let me tell you, El Paso Matters, they don't say Richard Halliday's name, but they took Leilani Hart to target, in their schemy way, our son's case. Because to discredit a whistleblower is obstruction of justice. Let me say this, to falsely discredit a whistleblower obstructs justice. And that's what they aim to do. And I'm not saying she's not smart, but I'm saying she didn't do it alone. You know, she had to have a sponsor, right? A sponsor that had an in with Angela Kachurga, that had an in with Bob Moore, that had an in with El Paso Matters, that had an in with El Paso Community Foundation, because El Paso Community Foundation owns El Paso Matters. So she sought out that group that would hurt Richard's case. After writing multiple papers on Richard's case, after tampering with video, tampering with files, which is corroborated by her husband's testimony to us, that she had put in an affidavit against him, accusing her family, the Hart family, of incest, accusing, and had it notarized, and had her inside man. And I'm sure he coached her. I mean, is that hard to believe that your lover, you know, this whole family cousin thing too, I want to address, because the evidence, shows that there is inconsistencies in what they're saying. But to have an affidavit where you are talking about your family sexually molesting a 7-year-old in your master bedroom, and that you didn't report that, and it was multiple members of the family, and in the same breath say they are engaged in incest, and say that your family is in possession of child pornography, which is in the state of Texas, it's illegal. And in the state of Texas, capital crimes like murder, the death penalty is on the table big time. So, we can't engage this moment because there's ongoing criminal investigations from all the evidence. Okay? We have it confirmed. And this is one of the aspects of what happened yesterday with receiving confirmation that Richard ceased and that the CID it was involved in the interference of our son's case. And that corroborates, once again, CID Tavita Noosa's involvement. And it's not just what happened yesterday, it's all of this evidence, because that picture that she posted this morning, we received information that he was there. He was there as her inside man, while her 2 other lovers were also there. And even Tavita's father was there. Right? Wow. that that meeting, and one has passed away, and Tavita lost his. When things like that happen, y- it is absolutely possible that the character of these people could conduct and with the murder of our son. And don't forget that Leilani Hart is the mother of Dallas Hart, Richard's platoon leader, which they have tried their hardest to cover up, even falsifying or tampering with documents. And it's like, how can they do that? Where are the soldiers? What's going on? Um, but I think the truth will come out, and it has come out in evidence that we have submitted. So we absolutely have the evidence, and we submitted that. And so, like I said, there's ongoing um, criminal investigation. And so, I would have loved to engage with her before all of that happened. But she was up to no good. And this whole thing about Tavita Nusa being her nephew, and um, it being reported, you see, there's open records. And we have the report where they stated he was her second cousin, right? And then when we talked to Dallas Hart, he goes, "Oh, that Tony guy or whatever, I don't even know who he is. I don't know who he is." And then James Courtney Hart, "Oh yeah, that's her family, that's her cousin." Um, and I said, "But I have information that they're more than cousins, that they're engaged in an affair, in an adulterous relationship." And he's like, "Oh yeah." I wouldn't put it past her. I wouldn't put it past her. So, all of that is being investigated. And so I have some notes here, because what we're trying to do is get Richard's remains. We want Richard's remains. And we have to get his death certificate, and we're going to run into problems with that because we have an illegal as the chief medical examiner. So we want Richard's remains. We see one problem after the next with the DA. We've had to act as CID investigators. We've had to act as um, the the DA's office to identify the crime and everything, and then to create all of these documents to file. So we're getting faster and faster. At the beginning, it was we were much slower. So let me go to some of these comments, because I'm getting a lot of comments. Danielle Rogers, "I just stumbled upon your page, catching up with all the videos. As a dad, my heart hurts for you all, and I'm proud of you for not backing down." Thank you so much. Thank you. You know, our intention was always, where's our son? Where's our son? And people that have followed this from the beginning can absolutely corroborate that there has been very few weeks that have gone by that we didn't have breaking news. Sometimes we have breaking news just about every day. And like today, I think it's breaking news that Leilani Hart creates this account using her name. I don't know if it's her really. Um, Using her name though, and it seems to be her. And then to post, to reach out. And she's had a long time to reach out. And it's too late now. We can't engage with her because of the ongoing investigations. So, thank you. Have you gotten a lawyer and presented your evidence? So, you know, the problem is, Lydia, the problem is, isn't a code red from A Few Good Men movie though? Is it a real thing? It's a real thing. It's a real thing. But the problem, let me explain El Paso to you. The DA is a usurper. He's not legal. He is a political opportunist. He's in there only for politics. And we haven't contacted him as much as we have Bob Moore, right, of El Paso Matters, but we've sent him letters pleading with evidence, and he has not responded to us. Not even thank you or we can't help you or whatever. He hasn't responded. Even when we were sending him information about threats we were getting. And we did get a contact from him when we asked for open records, certain open records, especially from a February 8th letter that we would like to know about this letter. It's very important in our son's case. And they still haven't given it to us, which is illegal. But what they do is they'll send us a copy of their letter to Attorney General Ken Paxton asking to be able to not give us things, right? So, because they're bound by law to do that. His district attorney's office, that is supposed to be a help to us. This is supposed to, it's not just find Richard Halliday's case. It's the people of El Paso, right? They depend on the prosecutor's office, right? To stem the tide of crime. They depend on that office, just like the sheriff's office or the El Paso police. They depend on those prosecutions that justice will be done, right? For them to identify the crime, document the crime, and prosecute the crime. And for it to be broken, because there is no doubt about it, not from us, but from several, from George Alhana, from Loretta Lynn Hewitt, from Curtis Cox, from John Briggs's boss, I forget his name real quick. These are all corroborating members of that office that say it's broken. It's broken. And so let's say you get a lawyer and you want to present evidence that it's broken. So you're just wasting your money on a lawyer because where you need to go to get justice has been broken. Not only that, but you have the chief medical examiner charging the people of El Paso hundreds of thousands of dollars. This in 2023, he was paid $438 and more, $438,000, right? And he has violated his visa. He's not even an American citizen. He can't, because he violated his visa, he can't even become American citizen. And the kicker is, in order to even be a chief medical examiner, which is a judicial office, because he can order inquests, he can order a jury, he can give out subpoenas, right? He can issue subpoenas and warrants. He's a judicial officer. He's like a judge. And in the state of Texas, when you have that much power, right? I can't issue a subpoena. I can't call for an inquest and get a jury together, right? But he can, and he can do it on the taxpayer's dime. And with someone with that kind of power in the state of Texas has to be a judge. So how are we going to, when we get autopsy report numbers and we have someone illegitimate as a medical examiner, how are we going to get the truth? How are we going to get the truth from the DA's office? How are we going to get, they're too busy covering up their fraud. The fraud against the El Pasoans, the fraud against the Senate, the fraud of the court. That's because, don't forget, a medical examiner is a primary witness in any capital case of the cause and manner of death. The cause and manner of death. So how are we going to get answers when there's that type of fraud going on? And then you have Leilani Hart on a year after. So we're talking about January of 2023. The exact date, I think it was January 2023. Absolutely in the media, seeking out the media to target our son's case, to sabotage it, to obstruct justice, to retaliate against a whistleblower, a witness to her words of, I'm tampering with files, which is also corroborated by her husband, right? That she was absolutely messing with files and submitting an affidavit that was helped along by her man on the inside, Tavita Nusa. And then yesterday, we received the emotion, the emotion, of course, that Richard is deceased, but the emotion also where they're admitting that CID interfered with Richard's case. That's huge. That's huge. And, CID was working with Interpol. They were the agency working with Interpol, working with the Department of State. And Interpol just recently, and many people don't know this, but they took down the photo that CID had given them because it was a tampered photo. It was superimposed with Dallas Hart's face. So when we look at a murder charge, what would possess CID, which is Tavita Nusa and Marlon Soto, Tavita Nusa, what would possess CID to superimpose a picture that was supposed to be, that was issued to Interpol for Richard's yellow notice, but was superimposed with Dallas Hart's photo image? Is it a game to them? Is this a religious thing? What's going on? And it wasn't some other random person. It was Dallas Hart. And Dallas Hart told us he didn't know Tavita Nusa. And now Leilani Hart early this morning comes on and says, oh, that's my nephew. Okay. And remember, she submitted, and we have the FBI number, right? She submitted a complaint to the FBI that her family was engaged in incest. So whether he is her cousin, her whatever, for and Tavita's father also was was accused of incest and worse. And so something needs to be investigated, and that's what's happening right now is a criminal investigation. And also, Leilani Hart and Dallas Hart and Tavita Nusa are in that family of connections with Belen Rocha. Okay, with Belen Rocha, who is her grandmother is, I believe, a cousin of Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia, absolutely related. Okay, and so that connects the Walmart. There's so many ways that all of this is connected, and absolutely, Belen's mother. I spoke to her on the phone early on, and she said she didn't know anything about Richard. That was sorry, sorry. She's connected to Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia, who targeted Richard's case, who is connected to Leilani Hart, who targeted Richard's case. And they are absolutely connected and absolutely connected with Belen Rocha. And don't forget that Leilani Hart is from Dreams Cabaret, and we have pictures of Belen. Belen is, a stripper. She's a stripper in these clubs. Um, so they are absolutely connected. And Rosa Maria is connected to Danae Katzen, who is the family that targeted Richard's case again. Even went on to KTSM, again using media. So is it the same person that, um, yeah, yeah, let me read some of these. This is so interesting tonight. I'm not used to so many comments, so this is great. Have you gotten a lawyer and presented your evidence? Okay, explain that. Is a code red a real thing? Yes. They need to find Richard and give you Richard's remains. Absolutely. And Richard and your family deserve justice. Absolutely. And the community. And because think about it, we talk about justice a lot. What is the alternative to justice? It's just thieves, criminal networks of thieves. And they will steal from anybody, and they will steal anything, even a life. And so if you have a criminal history, what Leilani Hart does, and you have this behavior that is always up to no good, that leads to death and destruction, can murder be on the table when looking at Leilani Hart, when looking at Tavita Nusa, when looking at Dallas Hart? See, this is, is it even possible? Does it deserve an investigation, a closer look? And we're saying yes. They are suspects. They are absolute suspects. Yes, a code red is a criminal act. Why the district attorney if you have your own lawyer? Well, you know, look at what's happening all over the place in the courts right now. We have a mess. And you don't want to go to court if you don't have to. Right? And there's a way that won't break our family. Because look, that's what they do. You think you get a lawyer, and then you have to get a good lawyer. And then you have to find the money to pay the good lawyer. And you can be totally destroyed. So those seeking justice become the victims. And we have a family. So you just have to really the lawyer was not an option for us. Okay, it was not an option because um, we did not see a good outcome. We did not see. Uh, we want our son's remains without a lawyer, right? Without going to court. We have driven the military to admit something that they never wanted to admit, and that is that they failed Richard. That they failed Richard. They failed to protect him, to defend him, and that he is now dead because of them. That's what happened yesterday. And that's a huge a legal victory. And let me tell you, you have so many victims' families that don't get that kind of victory. So it was very emotional, but this will allow us to now step into Richard's shoes. And all the things that they have denied us, just because of spite, they could have absolutely done it for us. Like, allow us to pay Richard's bills, allow us to cancel his subscriptions. They denied that. Um, they've done everything to be a foe instead of a friend. And so I want to make that very, very clear that yesterday was not them trying to be a friend, not trying to be honorable. They were driven because of you following, because of Team Find Richard Halliday putting the evidence together that was provided by you, and putting those documents together. My beautiful husband working behind the scenes, filing, and collecting all the names and the email addresses, because you have to know where to file all this stuff, right? And we've never been in the legal system, right? We've, just minded our own business, and, we don't have criminal records, so we've never had to deal with it. And, you know, um, but let me tell you, we have absolutely learned how, out of just love for our son, wanting to find him, or get his remains, and um, a lawyer. No, it was not the best route for us at all in this circumstance in El Paso. Not wanting to play the Vanity Fair game, because you have to play this Vanity Fair game. This, what I'm talking about is all the COVID mandate stuff and whatever. And, that's just not who we are. And so, absolutely, the courts are political in El Paso right now. Right now. But that hopefully will change very, very soon. And I've been told that because there's an investigation into Bill Hicks as well as our suspects. So we need to get justice back into the courts there, into the law enforcement offices, right? And if I speak wrong, it's because I'm not so educated on all of this. So thank you so much. Why the district attorney? Because, Richard is there on Fort Bliss, he absolutely had the duty to look into Richard's case because Yvonne Rosales, who is really the rightful district attorney right now, I think tomorrow she should be brought back in. I think tomorrow is a good day because they are bleeding attorneys right now in the district attorney's office. Intelligence tells me that 7 assistant district attorneys resigned in March alone. There's a real problem there. And who in their right mind would want to work for a usurper, right? Who's not even legally a district attorney? That's not good for your career. That sure is not good for your career. Interpol told you that. Interpol took down the photo. We knew that, if you saw the photo, you'd absolutely know that it was tampered with. And it was like, who gave them that photo? And it's weird. It's tampered with. And we did a forensics, and Richard's face didn't match the facial recognition technology of that photo. So I can put 2 pictures of Richard together and they will match in the forensics. And I do know a little bit about facial recognition because remember that in 2021, I was blocked for 1 month on Facebook for handing out flyers of Richard, right? But I was at the nation's capital and that made me suspect. But what I did is I put that shield on, that clear shield that the Army had given me for the meetings. And I could do my live streams because the live streams were triggered to turn off if they read your facial recognition measurements. And so, if you're Interpol, those pictures mean a lot because if you're for yellow notices or even for red notices are wanted, people that have broken the law or have a record or are under suspicion of that, and yellow notices missing people. And Richard was a yellow notice. And so those facial recognitions are very important because they even use them in morgues. If a deceased person comes in, if they find remains, they can use the picture for facial recognition technology. So we, for months, we were like, that's not Richard. You need to put a good picture up there in order to do facial recognition, right? That's why that was so important because people were saying, oh, he's still alive. We were like, I don't know. He's deceased, but okay, we will, we're up against this big green machine. So at least get a good picture of him on there just in case. And so finally, after months, they must have done an investigation because we submitted a request to do an investigation on that, and they took it down. And they replaced it with an accurate picture of Richard that works with matching his face with other pictures. They all match. Great. And you want to, do it, I guess, 70% and above, maybe 80 above, depending on, the angle and everything. So, but what that other picture did match, very high numbers in the 80s, was Dallas Hart. Okay. So they had superimposed Dallas Hart's photo on top. Okay. District attorney is supposed to get justice for Richard. Absolutely. Is this what they used for the fake picture? But isn't Richard a soldier? I thought soldiers fall under federal jurisdiction. No, anybody in El Paso County is under the jurisdiction of the district attorney. So The yesterday, the Department of Defense admitted that they failed Richard, that they failed him. Okay. So, um, you know, when you have a family like Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia, Thomas Hoffman, Danae Katzen, those are a family. And they're targeting Richard, which they did. We have proof. And then that family starts targeting Team Find Richard Halliday, whistleblower, witness, which they did. And that very family is interconnected with the Hart family, with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, with a lawyer. Okay? And I think, that's my suspicion. I'm not going to name the lawyer right now, but absolutely we suspect the lawyer being behind the whole orchestration of the targeting of our family, of Richard. Both, both, right? Because of the obstruction. And interconnected with the Kacherga family. The Hart family and the Kacherga family are connected. Okay? So Angela Kacherga was up to no good. And, Leilani Hart is no stranger to Angela Kacherga. Dallas Hart is no stranger to Angela Kacherga. Texas Hart is no stranger to Angela Kacherga. Bob Moore family, absolutely. And then with Belen, who, they seem to try to hang their hat with Belen from the very beginning. And, it was strange how they throw their young people under the bus. I mean, look at what they did with Danae. Look at what they did with Dallas Hart. And Dallas Hart is a major suspect. But look what they did with Belen Rocha. So they don't really have too much love for their children. And what I call love. And so if they're going to treat their own like this, are they capable of murder? The 7-year-old was the 7-year-old that was sexually assaulted in Leilani Hart's master bedroom. So she said, so she notarized. I don't know. The FBI says it's a lie. So why didn't they arrest her? She should be arrested then for lying to law enforcement, right? Especially the FBI, because it's an FBI case, accepted case. But that was we know who the child is with the little brother. And that was the children of a Fort Bliss soldier. These were dependents. Fort Bliss dependents. And why isn't she arrested? Why isn't this is multiple members of her family? What is going on? Right? Is it Hearts Child Care? Because they have Hearts Child Care. They are not. That means that Ann Ogle of the CYS is not doing her job protecting the children on Fort Bliss. So, okay, I think, the CVA members reached out to us. Yeah. I hope that more of the CVA, the Combined Veterans Association members, will reach out to us. Because I know that they were so afraid of her, and I think they were more afraid of their uh, their benefits, their veteran benefits. You know, they were protecting their veterans benefits, and they were also protecting um, some of their, well, whatever went on. You know, sometimes shame can make you not speak up when it's time to speak up. So I'm hoping that time has gone by enough that um, they will come out now. So, but we can't engage at all with the suspects anymore, because that would be interfering with an investigation, an ongoing investigation, and we can't do that. So, thank you everyone so much for coming on. God bless you. And I will be back tomorrow, God willing. And we just want to say thank you again for all the condolences. And because this is, please understand, one day, one day, we will be able to actually grieve. But today is not the day. We need to get accountability. So, thank you for your prayers that keep us strong. All right. Till tomorrow.